Nammo Phat, good morning. It's April 20th, 2020, and we're here for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. Today we recite the first wonderful precept. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I vow to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. We continue reading Chapter 2 of Ajahn Sucitto's Kamma and the End of Kamma. Guarding and collecting attention. To establish mindfulness and full awareness in daily life relies on a skillful filtering of the input of stuff coming at us from all directions, because the sheer deluge of contact can overwhelm them. Contact is a source for kamma. What we give attention to receives our energy and enters our hearts, and there it stimulates action and reaction. Because we consequently build up bright or dark habits, we need to be responsible about what we give attention to. Part of cultivation is therefore about turning away from input and actions that just pull the mind out into craving or aversion or distraction. So another function of fathoming is to be discriminative. It has intention, it checks, sifts through, discards the dross, and retains the gold. In fact, rather than have the mind absorb into whatever is being pumped out by the media, there are themes that it's good to give attention to. Fathoming is also about recollection. Recollections vary, but you can do them throughout the day. First of all, there's mortality. If you consider the fact of death carefully and coolly, it helps to calm and steady the mind. You don't get reckless or greedy, and don't hold grudges. The perception of mortality causes some of the sticky stuff to lose its grip. Where's the pressure to get or to be something when everything you get, you lose? What is really worthwhile giving time and attention to? The recollection of mortality also reminds us that our resources, our energy, mental agility, and health are finite and dwindling. We can use our resources in a way that will enhance or free our lives, or we can waste the time in fantasies and frustrations. Used wisely, then, the recollection of death keeps the mind in shape, clean and present. It tells us it's time to put down the load. Another positive quality that comes out of recollecting mortality is empathy. One of the greatest sources of affliction and basis for negative kamma is a loss of empathy with others. In modern urban life, we may experience many people through media stereotypes, or in the no man's land of busy streets and public places. People then become other nationalities, other religions, etc., and we may feel either nothing or mistrust for them. In an emotional field with such a bias, indifference and even brutality finds room to breed. But if we consider our common ground, that like us, others have to endure stress, illness, bereavement, and death, that helps to generate empathy. For example, one of the monks was telling me he has a picture of famine victims and people with terrible afflictions and deformities, and whenever life was getting tense and tight and he was starting to feel irritable or losing perspective, he would look at these. Then he'd experience a sense of compassion for the human realm, as well as gratitude for the enormous blessing of being healthy, free from punishment, well fed and looked after. Recollection evokes a tone that with sustained mindfulness can become a steady abiding place for the heart. Then harshness, indifference, and self-pity don't take over. We can also broaden empathy to recollect that others too have joy and despair, humor and fear, birth, families, and their karma. Then why don't I relate to others in the way that I'd like them to relate to me? Morality is really only empathy put into forms of behavior. I find it really useful to meditate on others and what they bring up for me, and to notice that any effect that comes up is in my own affective mind, because I'm the one who has to live with that indifference, harshness, or empathy. When the heart is defensive or dismissive, it is tight, constricted, and it can't access the energy that supports me. And the more I feel heavy and tight about others, the heavier and tighter my life gets. Sure, opening the heart often entails feeling all kinds of conditioned irritations and fears, but if there is fathoming attention, the heart also finds access to the courage and the compassion that is its potential. And as I tune into the theme of the good karma of being human, I can really enjoy and taste the nourishment of kindness, the protective care of compassion, the joy of appreciation, and the equanimity to hold the space that allows emotions to move. Empathy gives me access to my innate sanity. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this Monday morning.